Hello and welcome back to the world of Next Step. Yes, that's right. The world of, because I have already actually read the first visual novel that belongs to this whole thing. If you recall, the first visual novel named Next Step was about Wallace, the otter, and Deacon. In it, Wallace was basically going away for university, I believe, or something like that. And he hadn't told Deacon, who is his best friend, that he was leaving. But he also wanted to tell them something else, which is that he basically had a crush on him. So the whole of the visual novel, which is 2 videos only, it wasn't that long, was basically Wallace trying to find the right time to tell him. And he eventually does, but it's not received well because it's like basically saying like, oh, by the way, tomorrow I'm leaving for university, so yeah. Eventually though, they made up. And Deacon took it reasonably well, and I believe that they end up driving Wallace to the university. But yeah. So this is set a year later, and they've been basically in a long-distance relationship, and they will be having their first in-person date. But it seems that things may not be that easy for them, even though they've been dating as a long-distance relationship for 1 year. Perhaps love was not all that was needed to keep this relationship going, so I believe that this is what this visual novel will be about, because that is what the synopsis said. I literally found it today, so yay. Anywho, so yeah, without further ado, let us begin Next Step Follow Through. Here again. His voice trembled as he stared into the endless void. The dark water beneath him rippled faintly. He hated how it clung to him, cold and unrelenting, as if it wanted to pull him under. Shapes twisted and tendrils curled into the distance, reaching as if they were alive. Above him, the faint pulsing glow of an oval hung just out of reach. He could almost make out something on its surface, but every time he focused, it shifted and slipped further away. It was always the same, this place, cold, wet, empty. He swallowed hard, his reflection faint and distorted in the inky water. I hate this place. The whispers began, faint and scattered, as they always were, fleeting words too fractured to understand. Wallace rubbed at his arms to try and drown them out, but tonight, something changed. One voice rose above the others, steady and cutting. Does it scare you, being here? Wallace flinched and he felt his ears twitch. The voice wasn't his own, but it felt like it came from somewhere deep inside of him. Who's there? It's just you, alone, like always. The chill in Wallace's chest spread and he took a step back. I'm not alone. I'm not. The voice softened, almost taunting. Aren't you? It's okay to admit it. This place, it feels right because it's what you are. Stop it. No one would even notice if you disappeared into this place. Shut up. That's not true. Isn't it? What do you have out there? I have Deacon. He's my boyfriend. He loves me and I love him. The voice was silent for a moment, and then it returned colder than before. Love, is it? Then why don't you let him in? Why do you keep him at a distance? Wallace's breath hitched. I haven't kept him at a distance. We're just long distance right now. I had to move away for college. It's complicated. You haven't even touched him. Wallace froze, his hand grabbing at his arm. Of course I have. We've been friends since we were kids. I've touched him lots. Don't play dumb. You know that's not what I meant. You've been together for over a year and friends for much longer. And yet you keep him at arm's length. You've never let him see all of you. I'm just waiting for the right time. His voice was weak as he spoke. I want it to mean something. That's what you tell yourself, but you gave yourself away so easily last time, didn't you? The words struck like ice through his chest. Wallace stumbled back and shook his head. Stop it. His voice started to crack. You know he wants it. He's growing frustrated with every no you give him. No, he's not that kind of guy. It's different this time, isn't it? You want to believe it's love, but you're scared. You think if you kept him away, it won't hurt as much when he leaves. He's not leaving me. Wallace started to shout, though the words felt hollow. Isn't he? Distance is a slow poison. You felt it. Each phone call, each missed message, each night spent alone. It eats at you. It hurts. No. Wallace covered his ears. He felt his chest tighten. Maybe it hurts a little, sure, but everything will be fine when he gets here. That's right. I'll see him soon. He's visiting me tonight. Everything will be fine and I'll be better. It'll all be better when he gets here. And when he leaves? I'll just wait until I see him again. And then when we graduate, we'll move in together. We'll have a future, one we've dreamed about. Until then, I can deal with this. And still you cling to a future where everything is fixed. Because it's easier than admitting you're losing him now. I'm not losing him. His voice broke through his screams. The whispers swell again and drown him in overlapping accusations. You don't deserve his love. You don't deserve any love. You will always be alone. Stop it! Wallace cried as his knees gave out and tears streaked down his face. He curled into himself, trembling. Just stop. No matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you love, you will never be enough. You will end up right back here every time. You will always be alone. Wallace gasped as his eyes snapped open. The noise of his ringing phone bringing him back to reality. The void was gone. The phone stopped buzzing, allowing Wallace to find his bearings. He was still on the floor, with his back against the counter. The warm glow of the neon sign spilled through the windows. Its cheerful lettering spelled out, Possum Cat Cafe. The chairs were stacked neatly and the counters gleamed from the end of the day wiped down. The cats were in the back, leaving the room eerily quiet. Wallace sat up slowly, rubbing at his face, with shaky hands. His head pounded and his chest still felt heavy. Oh, right. His voice came out hoarsely. I'm at work. He leaned against the counter and stared at the neon glow, as if it could chase the lingering cold from his bones. I really wish that I'd stop having that stupid dream. The sound startled him again. His phone vibrated on the counter. Wallace reached for it, his fingers trembling slightly. The glowing screen felt like the only real thing in the world. It's Jay. Must have made him worried. Hello? Dude, where are you? Still at the cat cafe. I, fell asleep. Oh, damn. Are you okay? I'm fine. You sure? You sound off. The early mornings are just getting to me, that's all. Yeah, I thought I heard you leave like at 4 this morning. Sorry. Did I wake you? Nah, I was working on code for class. But seriously, I'm sorry that you gotta be up so early. Can't you just ask for later hours? Not really. It's still technically a coffee shop, so we need to open at coffee shop hours. Plus, one of the cats, Ghost, hurt her leg. Someone has to give her medication early, and since the owners are out of town, that someone is me. Where are your coworkers? Heck if I know. They'd probably just end up messing around in the back as usual, anyway. How are they still employed? The owners are too nice to fire anyone. So they just make you do all the work? Kinda. That doesn't sound very nice. They seem like doormats. Like a certain someone that I know. Rude. Wallace, you've got to stand up for yourself more. It's fine. I don't want to upset anyone and it's really not that bad. I promise. Doesn't sound fine to me. My library job offer still stands, you know. As much as I'd love to work with you, I wouldn't be much help. I know nothing about books or libraries. Yeah, fair. It can all be a bit confusing. We still use card catalogs because their owner refuses to upgrade to a computer system. Yeah, I have no idea what that even means. Just remember that the offer is always open. At least while I'm still there. Anyway, why'd you call? Changing the subject, Jay, come on. I don't have all night. Fine. We'll circle back to this conversation later, though. Sure. Now why? Is it so hard to believe your loving brother just wanted to check up on his favorite sibling? I'm your only sibling, and yes, it is. Is it because I'm adopted? Jay? Jeez, I'm just fucking with you. No need to get mad. My gosh. Deacon called earlier. He was worried because you weren't answering your phone. Oh shoot, he called me? I'll get back to him. Thanks for letting me know. Maybe try answering next time. It's rude to ignore your boyfriend. I was asleep. Whose fault is that? Why do you do this to me? What do you gain? Free entertainment. At least you're honest. Are you going to be here when Deacon arrives? I should be if I rush. Good. There's only so long that I can talk to him before things get awkward. I thought you liked Dee. I do. He's great. It's just a mutual friend thing. I'm not the best at small talk with people that I don't know super well. Oh, please. You're like a wizard at talking to people. Uh-huh. You don't believe me? My therapist doesn't believe you. But you've already got a whole friend group here in New Hoenn City. That's just my D&D group. Aren't they your friends? It's different. Oh? I'm not super close to that many of them. I mean, I like them, but we don't hang out much outside of game sessions. So you're not close to any of them? Well, I mean, there is one person, I think. You know our DM? The Martin who sits at the end of the table? Oh, yeah. You mean Luke? Yeah. She goes by Luna now, by the way. Oh, gotcha. Why is she different? She just seems interesting. Interesting how? I don't know. She's just interesting. We've grabbed coffee and hit up some vintage game stores. Turns out that we have a lot in common. She's funny too. But I think she's scared of me. Scared? Intimidated maybe, but scared? Yeah, I don't know. It seems like she's always on edge around me, so I've just been keeping my distance. I think that's how she always is. It's different. I don't feel like explaining. Just get home, okay? Okay. Wouldn't want you to scare off my boyfriend. Hardy har. Oh, Deacon said that his train was 20 minutes off. 15 by now. Why didn't you tell me that earlier? Hey man, you're the one who fell asleep. Don't blame me. I'm not bringing you a strawberry cream puff anymore. What? You promised. You pinky swore. Sorry, gotta feed the cats and lock up. Bye. Aw, you fuck. Now where did I put that cat food again? Wallace opened a cupboard and peered inside. He began opening more as his brow furrowed in concentration. This is where I was yesterday, before I tried to organize. He paced back and forth, muttering to himself while he opened one of the cabinets after the other. Come on, Wallace, think. You were trying to make things easier. I try to be organized and end up making things harder on myself. As he turned towards the pantry, a glint caught his eye. On a high shelf, the edge of a bag poked out just slightly. Relief washed over him. Ah, there it is. Reaching up, Wallace tugged the bag down, but his stomach dropped when he felt something shift inside. He froze, staring at the bag. The movement happened again, more pronounced this time. His fur bristled. A rat? Wallace dropped the bag like it was on fire and retreated a few steps. Seriously, this is not the time for this. His eyes darted around the cafe, searching for something, anything that could help. His gaze landed on the broom, leaning in the corner, and without a second thought, he grabbed it. Holding it tightly, he crept towards the bag, heart pounding in his chest. Okay. He held the broom close, gripping onto it in fear. Please just run outside. Let's not make this a thing. The bag jerked again, and Wallace sucked in a breath. Slowly, he nudged the edge of the bag open with the broom handle. The bag burst and something leaped out. Wallace yelped and stumbled back, holding the broom in front of him like a sword. Meow. Wallace blinked. Huh? Wait a minute. A ghost sat in the middle of a spilled kibble, licking her paw like nothing had happened. Ghost? My gosh, how did you even get out of the play area? The white cat responded with a long, dramatic meow. Wallace set the broom down with a huff, his heart still racing. I guess Ghost really is a fitting name for you. Scared me half to death, girl. Ghost meowed again, but this time it sounded more self-satisfied than apologetic. All right, troublemaker. Let's get you back with the others. Wallace crouched down and carefully lifted her into his arms. She was heavier than he remembered, and he grimaced as he shifted her weight to avoid putting pressure on his injured leg. How are you this heavy? Or am I just weak? Be honest. Ghost, however, had other ideas. As Wallace shifted her in her arms, her paw darted towards the pocket on his overall. With surprising dexterity, she hooked a small piece of paper and tugged it free, jumping out of Wallace's arms to play around with it on the floor. Hey, what are you? Wallace stopped as he recognized the card that she had swiped. It was slightly crumbled, but the logo on the top was unmistakable, the Fang. There were a pretty well-known band around here, and a group that Wallace looked up to. Wallace had a chance encounter with their guitarist who, after overhearing him play at a campus recording room, gave him the card. The memory still made him cringe. The song had been too personal, its lyrics bleeding feelings he hadn't fully processed. About his father, about love, about the way tolerance sometimes felt like a colder version of rejection. All of his daddy issues out in the open, embarrassing, didn't even begin to cover it. But the offer? That was harder to dismiss. It was an internship with the band, just the first step, but a step that could mean a lot. Ghost, why did you have to grab this of all things? He muttered as she batted the card with her paw. The cat meowed softly and her big round eyes fixed on him, as if she expected an explanation. I know. I should have filled out that application by now. It's not even hard, just an online form and sending it to the number on the card. But it's complicated. Ghost blinked at him, her paw resting possessively on the card. It'd mean more time away from Deacon. I already feel like I don't see him enough, and doing this, I don't know, feels selfish. Ghost tilted her head, her injured leg tucked close to her side. But the deadline's tomorrow night. I have to decide soon. If I wait any longer, it'll just... He trailed off and shook his head. He reached down and gently pulled the card from beneath her paw, slipping it back into his pocket. You're not helping, you know. Ghost let out a meow as if to say that she was helping in her own way. Yeah. Let's get you back before you decide to critique my life choices anymore. Balancing her on one arm, he opened the door to the cat room and stepped inside. Okay, down you go now. He placed Ghost gently on the highest perch of a plush cat tower. There, you're trapped now. Can't climb down with that leg, huh? He wagged a finger at her. Stay put this time, okay, and think about what you've done. Ghost answered with a plaintive meow, her bright eyes wide and pleading. Don't try that on me. Wallace was stern with his voice, though he couldn't help but glance back as he left the room. He shook his head. You're fine, drama queen. Unable to get down from the tower with her injury, Ghost was subjected to isolation by someone that she once thought of as a friend. Back at the cafe, he surveyed the mess of kibble scattered across the floor. The torn bag sagged on the counter, spilling more with every little shift. Well, he grabbed the new bag from the cabinet. At least we don't have a rat problem, just a gluttonous little escape artist. Wallace filled the cat's bowls one by one, earning happy meows as each feline dug in. For a moment, the sound enlightened the tightness still lingering in his chest from earlier. He smiled faintly. You're welcome, freeloaders. Once the last bowl was set down, he grabbed his trusty weapon, the broom, to sweep away the mess. The rhythmic scrape of bristles on the floor helped settle his nerves, and by the time the floor was cleaned again, he felt more like himself. Alrighty then. He set the broom back into the corner. Cats are fed, messes cleaned. I should have plenty of time to... A knock at the door made him freeze. I'm sorry, we're closed. Come back tomorrow. Wallace called out, hoping that the persistent knocking would stop. The knocking continued and Wallace groaned as he glanced towards the door. His annoyance melted instantly when he recognized the figure standing behind the glass. Deacon? Deacon grinned and waved with both of his hands enthusiastically. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, Deacon gestured towards the locked door. Right. 1 second. Wallace fumbled with the lock, muttering under his breath. There we go. Welcome. Wall ball! As soon as the door opened, Deacon lunged forward and threw his arms around Wallace in a tight hug. Wallace stumbled back under the sudden weight, caught off guard, but the moment they regained his footing, he hugged Deacon just as tightly and buried his face in his boyfriend's shoulder. You're gonna knock me over. Deacon pulled back just enough to look Wallace in the face, keeping his hands firmly on his shoulders. Dude, you're so fucking beautiful. The computer screen does not do you justice. Thanks. You're, not so bad yourself. Wow, did I just hear Wallace take a compliment? No hiding your face, no excuses? Character development. You're insufferable. And yet you love me. Deacon leaned close, pausing just long enough to ask. May I? Please? Their lips met, and for a moment the rest of the world faded. Wallace's worries about work, about the deadline that he'd been ignoring, about everything, seemed to dissolve. When Deacon finally pulled back, he grinned lazily. Man, a whole year without kissing you. Criminal. I've got to make up for that. Wallace laughed softly, his hand still resting on Deacon's waist. Kinda hard to kiss you when you live so gosh darn far away. Excuses. But don't worry, I plan to kiss you so much this week that you'll get sick of me. Wallace leaned into him with a quiet sigh, pressing a quick kiss to his lips. I could never get sick of you. Good, because I got big plans for tonight. You ready to be wooed? You? Planning ahead? Who are you, and what have you done with my boyfriend? Deacon gasped dramatically, clutching his chest. Wow, is that how little faith you have in me? I'm offended. It's how you are, Deacon. You're never on time and you wing everything. Tough talk from someone who was late to meet me tonight. Touché. Damn right, touché. Deacon ruffled Wallace's hair affectionately. No, my hair. It was so nice today to... Wallace stumbled back, swatting at Deacon's hand. Well, I think it looks cuter this way. You always did have weird taste. Hey, don't make fun of my taste. You're my taste, and I won't have anyone making fun of you. Not even yourself. Only I get to do that. Ugh. Where are Simon and Reagan, by the way? I thought you guys were traveling together. They're on the train behind me. They should be at your apartment in about an hour. But I swapped my ticket for an earlier one to surprise you. Plus, you know, third wheels and all that. Wow, ditching friends for a grand romantic gesture? You're such a simp. Hey, they'll get over it. Deacon said with a shrug. We'll say hi to them later after I blow your mind with this date. Yeah, okay, that's true. So, you ready to head out? Or do you need to herd some more cats before we go? Wallace froze. Oh, Ghost. The cat with a leg injury? Yeah, I kinda, left her stranded on a cat tower. Just give me a sec. Deacon leaned casually against the counter, grinning to himself. You're such a cat dad. Wallace's voice called back from the playroom. Some might even call me a cat dilf. Deacon groaned. Ew, gross. Go get your cat. A minute later, Wallace returned, looking sheepish. Okay, I'm good. Let's go. How was the cat? She's not happy with me, but I'm sure she'll forget about it in the morning. Deacon held out his hand, his grin widening. Good, now come on, Wallball. You're about to experience the best date of your life. Wallace hesitated for just a moment before slipping his hand into Deacon's. I already am. Wallace stepped outside and let the crisp evening air brush against his fur as he stretched. He blinked up at the dimming horizon. When did the sun start to set? Deacon, still holding Wallace's hand, smirked. A little bit ago. You know, while you were napping like one of your cafe cats. Jay ratted me out. Yup, said something about it being payback for a cream puff. Of course he did. Well, sorry about that. I didn't mean to fall asleep. It's been a long day, you know. I just... run out of excuses? Deacon teased, though his grin softened when he saw Wallace's guilty expression. Kidding, Wallball. You've been running yourself into the ground. A nap was probably the best thing for you. Still, I kept you waiting. Deacon squeezed his hand reassuringly. Hey, you're here now. That's what matters. Though, if we don't get moving, my masterpiece of a schedule might crash and burn. You? A schedule? What is happening right now? Deacon rolled his eyes dramatically, tugging Wallace down the street. Laugh it up. But seriously, tonight is gonna blow your mind. If it doesn't, I'll die of shame and you'll have to date my ghost. Which honestly might still be pretty hot. Please don't die. That would really ruin the night. Fine, no dying. But I want tonight to be perfect. You deserve that. You've been hyping this up so much that I'm actually starting to get nervous. Where are you taking me? Curious, Wallace tried to sneak a peek over Deacon's shoulder, who was staring at the GPS on his phone. Deacon quickly flipped his phone face down. Nope, no spoilers. You'll see when we get there. You're really making me walk blindly into this, huh? Yup. I was afraid that you'd say that. As they walked, the city lights painted the street in a warm glow. Wallace glanced at Deacon, his heart a strange mix of comfort and guilt. The quiet between them wasn't uncomfortable, but it felt heavier. Deacon suddenly perked up, grabbing Wallace's attention. Oh, by the way, I meant to ask you something. Is Jay doing okay? Jay? I think so. Why? When I got to your apartment, he was acting kind of strange. Really? How so? Yeah, he opened the door, saw me standing there, and immediately went, "Oh, Wallace works at Possum Cat Cafe, bye." He barely let me say hi before he texted me your address and practically shoved me out the door. I was just barely able to set my luggage down in your room. Yeah, that sounds like him. Don't worry about it. As they turned a corner, the streets grew quieter, and Wallace realized that they were heading towards a part of the city that he didn't recognize well. His curiosity only grew, but Deacon stayed tight-lipped, determined to keep the destination a surprise. When they were almost there, Deacon suddenly stepped behind Wallace. Deacon placed his hands around Wallace's eyes, causing his vision to fade to black. Whoa, what are you doing? Wallace laughed nervously as he flailed. Trust me, this is the big moment. No peeking. You better not lead me into a lamppost. No promises. Deacon teased, guiding him forward with care. Okay, step. Good. No, not there. And that was a pothole, wall ball. You're terrible at this. Maybe, but you're having fun with it, I can tell. If you say so. Deacon chuckled, his voice softening as they walked. You know, this kind of reminds me of something. Yeah, what's that? Deacon hesitated before speaking, his tone growing thoughtful. That morning that we climbed onto the school roof. You remember that? Oh, yeah. How could I forget? You were so determined to get me up there for some reason, dragging that old ladder up all the way from my house. You didn't trust me then either. You were convinced that we were going to get caught. And we could have. But it ended up being worth it, didn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it was. I practically had to drag your ass out of bed. But when we got up there, it was nice, quiet and peaceful. The view was pretty. Those clouds, the way that the light hit them. It was like the world went quiet for once and the only people left were us. It did, didn't it? But you know, I wasn't really looking at the view. Oh? I was looking at you. Me? Yeah. You had this look on your face. Like everything that you were carrying just melted away for a moment. You were so there, in that moment. You smiled, like really smiled. A smile that I hadn't seen before. One that was just alive. Wallace felt his breath catch, but he didn't interrupt. There was this light in your eyes, Wallball, like you were seeing something amazing for the first time, and I couldn't stop looking. You probably didn't even notice, but I couldn't tear my eyes away. Wallace's cheeks warmed as Deacon's words settled over him. I didn't know what it meant at the time. I just knew that I wanted to protect that smile. I wanted to be the reason that you looked like that. Free. That happy. And selfishly, I wanted to keep that feeling for myself. The warmth, the way that you made everything around you feel brighter. You were incredible. Deacon cleared his throat suddenly, breaking the moment with a bright laugh. Anyway, enough of my sappy gay rambling. It'll ruin the surprise if I get all sentimental right now. You're always sentimental, Deacon, but I like that about you. I'm glad. Now come on, just a few more steps. And we're here. Does that mean that I can stop walking? Yes, genius. Oh, sorry. Okay, ready? Mm-hmm. In 3, 2, 1. To be continued. Because of course. I believe that this is the first or the second build. So, yeah. As I mentioned, the previous visual novel, which is the first one that came out, called Next Step, was kind of short. So whether or not this one ends up being short as well, or ends up being like a normal visual novel length, has yet to be seen. And by normal, I mean that, it's maybe a 2-year development type of thing. Oh god. Anyways, but yeah, so yeah. Hopefully I will put a reminder or something saying like, hey, you might want to rewatch these videos, meaning next step, before you watch this one. That way you get like a little refresher about these characters. And yeah, like if you remember that story, then you'll remember that Wallace's main the thing that he was going through was telling Deacon that he was moving and that he kind of liked him too, that Deacon also did not take it well, but that eventually over the course of that night, he reciprocated the feelings for Wallace, meaning that he liked him and, they became boyfriends, obviously. And that, well, it was kind of bad that Wallace decided to wait until literally the night before he left to tell him that he was leaving, that that he liked him and that he was that they will make it work, basically. But as you can tell, Wallace is having some conflicting feelings, mostly about the whole long distance thing and the fact that they haven't seen each other for over a year in person, because like Deacon hinted to the fact that they were like video chatting, but like they're now in person again. But it seems that there's something going on with Wallace. So I suppose that will be the conflict of the story, I guess. Wallace again making things difficult for these two. Anywho, so what are your thoughts so far? Are you looking forward to more of the story? And it kind of looks like the art style changed a little and it looks a little bit more fluffier, which is kind of cool. And it does make him look a little older too, even though like literally just a year passed. But like, if I recall correctly, Wallace does look fluffier and Deacon also looks like more puffed up. Like the art that you see here looks more or less the same from how it did in the previous visual novel, but like the sprites look different to me, I think. I don't know, I read the other visual novel in 2022, so it's 2025 now. Oh my god, 3 years. But yeah, so anywho, so yeah, write down in the comments what you think, and thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play Next Step or Next Step Follow Through, you can do so by going down into the link in the description, which should have a direct link for the itch.io page where you can download the games and play them yourself. And if they have any form of support like a Patreon or a Ko-fi, I will be posting that down as well as my links in case you want to become a channel member or a you if you become a channel member, you get early access to build, not early access. Actually, yeah, early access to the videos that are scheduled, I guess. I don't know why I said early access. But yeah, so you get to watch the scheduled videos first. And at the time of recording, which is January 9th, there should be basically videos for the whole month of January already up. So you can watch all of those, including this one. By the time that you watch this, though, it'll probably be like February. What else? Also, my Ko-fi, in case you want to support me as a one-time donation. Although you can also, I think, donate through the super chats thing, where you can leave like a super chat and then you can say like, oh, I want to give this content creator $5, and like, yeah, I guess it's kind of like the bits for like Twitch or something. It's usually done through like live streams, but you can also do it if you're just leaving a comment. Also my throne, in case you want to, buy me something nice. But yeah, so yeah, I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.